Hey folks, Stephen here from Moving to Canada, and today we're trying to figure out why did Canada only invite 1,500 candidates in the July 6th Express Entry Draw. The July 6th Express Entry Draw has been hyped up for weeks as the triumphant return to Express Entry Draws that invite candidates in all programs, including FSW and CEC. However, some Express Entry candidates were disappointed when the July 6th draw only issued 1,500 invitations with the CRS score cutoff of 557 points. Now, prior to the pause in all program draws during the COVID-19 pandemic, Express Entry draws regularly invited between 3,000 and 5,000 candidates in each draw. Well, with all program draws back, why isn't Canada issuing the same number of invitations as before they were paused? Here are a few possible explanations. A quick disclaimer before we dive into these explanations. Just know that IRCC has not released any official explanation for the number of invitations issued in the July 6th draw. Although we will propose a few hypotheses, we cannot know with certainty the rationale behind IRCC's decision. Canada's ongoing backlog of immigration applications. Canada has a problem. A mounting backlog of immigration applications that have been submitted but are waiting to be processed. According to the most recent data, there are nearly 2.4 million applications in the Canadian immigration backlog awaiting processing. Now, 1 year ago, the backlog was at 1.4 million, meaning that things have only gotten worse over the past year. The increasing number of applications in the backlog doesn't necessarily mean smaller Express Entry draws. It's a bit more complicated than that. The increase in the application backlog are mainly due to two groups. Applications submitted by Ukrainians through Canada's special program to assist Ukrainians fleeing the war, which is more than 300,000 applications since the program launched in March, and applications for temporary residents, like visitors, students and workers, who typically apply for visas during these warmer summer months. In fact, the backlog of applications submitted by Express Entry applicants has been steadily decreasing over recent months. As of June, it was sitting around 30,000. IRCC stated that this decrease was one of the reasons why it was possible to resume all program draws on July 6th. It is possible that IRCC only invited 1,500 Express Entry candidates on July 6th in order to direct more resources to processing the existing backlog, but it's probably not the only factor at play. Before we go any further, do you want to know if your CRS score will be high enough for Express Entry? Well, you can use Moving to Canada's CRS score calculator to check your score, which I'll leave a link for below this video. Reduce admissions targets for Express Entry in 2022. Back in February, Canada released the Canadian Immigration Levels Plan for 2022 to 2024. This plan describes Canada's immigration targets for the next 3 years. Now, while Canada's overall immigration targets for 2022 are at a record high of 430,000 new permanent residents, the immigration targets for Express Entry in 2022 are at their lowest levels in years, only 56,000. To put the 2022 targets in perspective, in 2021, Canada aimed to admit nearly 110,000 newcomers through Express Entry. So why have the 2022 Express Entry immigration targets been cut in half, you may ask? This is largely due to a backlog of permanent resident applications submitted through a special COVID-19 permanent resident pathway that was introduced temporarily in 2021. The Temporary Residence to Permanent Resident Pathway, TR to PR. The TR to PR pathway allowed approximately 90,000 students and workers who are already in Canada to apply directly for permanent residence. Now, this pathway was introduced while Canada's borders were closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. By transitioning temporary residents to permanent resident status, Canada was able to meet its immigration targets for the year. However, Canada has not yet processed all applications submitted through the TR to PR pathway. By reducing Express Entry targets for 2022, IRCC has freed up spaces for the remaining TR to PR admissions. The reduced targets for Express Entry in 2022 could be a contributing factor to the number of invitations issued in the July 6th Express Entry draw. Express Entry targets for 2022 have been slashed by about 50%, and in the July 6th draw, the number of invitations were slashed by about 50% of the average pre-pandemic draw size. There are reasons to be optimistic about Express Entry targets in the long term though. By 2024, Express Entry targets are expected to be at their highest level in history at 111,500 targeted admissions. And higher targets? Well, they require more invitations. Saving spaces for a new Canadian immigration pathway. Last month, Canada's Immigration Minister Sean Fraser announced that he is working on a new immigration program that would help temporary foreign workers and international students who are already in Canada to transition to permanent resident status more quickly. At this time, very few details are available about the new program. It's unclear who will be eligible, how many applications will be accepted, or when the program will even launch. The Immigration Minister is expected to release more information in September. It is possible that Canada could be reducing express entry invitations in order to save spaces for those wishing to apply through this new stream. However, this is highly speculative analysis. With so few details available about the new program, it is challenging to assess its impact on existing immigration policy. When more details become available, the impact on express entry should become clearer. With express entry, only time will tell. Anyone who has been following express entry for the past few years understands that it's impossible to accurately predict what's ahead for FSW, CEC and FST. The Moving to Canada team is dedicated to following all express entry news and keeping our community informed with all the latest updates. So, if you want to be notified when there's an express entry update, register for a free Moving to Canada account and sign up for our newsletter by clicking on the link in the description.